This is Carol.
This is Mia.
And we're here to talk
Funny games. So this is our Funny Games episode of Refried Scenes.
Yes, we watch two versions of Funny Games because we hate our lives and want to make ourselves miserable.
Both of these done by Michael Haneke.
Yeah.
Is this the first episode that...
We've done movies where it's been incredibly similar.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've ever done a shot-for-shot remake. We deliberately avoided Psycho. This is unique in that it's a shot-for-shot remake done by the same director.
Yeah, 10 years apart. So not that there would be a whole lot of modernization to it, but even the little bit that could have been modernized was not.
Was not really, no.
So, let's talk about what happens in the movie.
Yeah.
And then compare which one we like most.
Yeah, because basically there's only one plot here, and that is Funny Games, because it is literally the same script, only in English. Because the original is in Austrian? I want to say I want to say German.
German or Austrian,
yeah.
Forgive us. The second one is in English.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the rundown just once.
Yeah. Because there's no difference.
So it starts a drone shot of the family car driving to their vacation home on the lake. They're listening to classical music in the car, and then it switches to the that jazz
intro
metal,
the jazz metal of John Zorn and Naked City. It is a jump scare.
It puts you in the mood for.
It puts you on edge.
Something's not quite right here.
Yeah.
Then they stop in the car to talk to neighbors outside. The antagonists are there, but we don't know that the antagonists are there yet. We haven't been introduced to them. This is really something you just noticed on a rewatch of it.
Yeah.
In the remake, this is the first fourth wall break because Paul is looking at the camera.
Directly at the camera, yep.
But not in the original. The family gets home, they put their groceries away, they get settled in. George, the father, and Georgie, his son, come over to help move the boat, as they discussed earlier in the movie, and the dog is barking in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
We know that he's barking at Paul.
Yeah,
but all they really know is that the dog's barking, and that's kind of weird. Then Peter knocks on the door in the kitchen, mm-hmm. or in the entry, and Anne, the mother of the family.
Well, is it Ada in the original?
Is it Ada?
I think they Americanized her name in the remake.
I thought Ada was the neighbor, but they rarely say each other's name.
Yeah. So it could be, we watched the remake last night. We had to space these because this is not a couple of movies you can watch back to back.
These are not, I should have prefaced that. These are not films to watch for enjoyment.
No.
Or entertainment. These are really like for film buffs.
Yeah.
Or like people who enjoy satire.
Yeah.
Or social commentary.
If you are entertained by this, I probably don't want to be alone in a room with you.
Correct.
So, Ada and...
So, after a long day of work, don't think you're going to settle in, sit on the couch, and throw this on.
For happy fun times.
To unwind
No.
for the day.
No.
In fact, if you don't want to watch them at all and listen to this podcast instead, be our guest. We're going to tell you everything about it.
Right. So Mom's in the kitchen.
Yeah, Mom's in the kitchen. She's putting the groceries away, and she's got an apron on, so we think she's going to start cooking or something. But she answers the door. Peter asks for eggs, 4 eggs. He said the neighbor sent him over.
Oh, I think it is the neighbor that is Ada. The only names I remembered were Peter, Paul, George, and Georgie.
Yeah, and in the original it's pronounced Georg.
Yeah.
So on his way out, Peter drops the eggs on the in the foyer as an excuse to borrow 4 more eggs and drop the cell phone into the water, the kitchen sink water.
Yeah.
Damaging their phone. He's not suave. He's nervous.
I would be very anxious around this man because he comes across...
He's shifty.
He comes across as very... there's something odd about his demeanor.
There's something odd about his demeanor. He does not seem at ease. He would not put me at ease.
Right. I would not have allowed him in my house. I would have been like, sure, wait here while I lock the door and get you eggs.
Well, and Paul shows up.
Yeah.
And he is definitely more collected.
Yeah.
And suave. And he's sort of telling Anne and Peter what to do, but in a subtle way.
Yeah. He's kind of subtly... we'll get into the reasons.
He's clearly pulling the strings. Here.
Yeah.
So it jumps back to the gentleman at the boat hearing the dog barking, and they hear the dog suddenly not barking anymore.
The dog yelps and stops barking. And because before this, Paul is the ringleader. He had borrowed a club and said he wanted to test it out.
A driver,
yeah. So he just killed
the neighbors were going to be playing golf.
Yeah, they were supposed to play golf with the neighbors the next day.
So we, the audience, know more really what's going on because we've seen Peter and Paul.
Yeah.
But the father says, I'm going to go to the house and check
on the dog.
Check on the dog.
It didn't sound normal.
Then, Anne is arguing with the gentleman and wants to kick them out because at this point they're asking for the entire dozen of eggs, and she's just like, "Get out!" And the phone's been ruined. Get out of my house.
Yeah, they're being very. They're playing victim here. It's like, well, I don't know why you're so rude to us, and it's like, okay, you've outstayed your welcome. You can leave now.
Mm-hmm. She even says, I don't know what kind of game you're playing here. So maybe I listed this next one as game 1. Maybe that was game 1. If you're... Now, mind you, in the definition of the movie as to what games how games are defined, not my definition of games.
I was finding very little funny games in this movie.
So perhaps that was game 1. So the father comes up to the house, and he's sort of accusatory towards Anne.
Yeah.
Why are you kicking these nice gentlemen out? Meanwhile, he just heard the dog yelping and silence.
This is
one of the a problem that I have with the movie. Like, he would already be approaching the house with suspicion and on the side of Anne.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with how that was written. But Ben goes into game 1. We're going to play a guessing game. What's in my pocket? And he pulls out a golf ball. The point of this game is to tell them that he's killed their dog.
Yeah.
So game 2 is hot and cold, where Anne wants to know where the dog is, and he plays warmer.
Yeah.
Warmer, colder.
She's outside.
As she's outside exploring
their yard.
Their driveway where the dog could be. So right away we're in game 2 or 3, depending on how you count it, and we know these people are seriously fucked up.
Yeah.
And this is in the original movie, this hot and cold game is the first fourth wall break.
Yeah.
Where Paul looks, as he's telling her warmer, colder, he turns around directly to the camera.
And kind of smirks.
Yeah, like he's just so proud of himself. The neighbors then dock their boat and have a chat with Anne and Paul. She doesn't give them any clues that something is going on. Paul takes this opportunity to find out which house is theirs for later on in the movie. Thanks, Anne, for not throwing any clues.
Any clue at all. Or we'll get into that after the plot synopsis.
True. Oh, I didn't even say that they hit...
Oh, yeah. Before the hot and cold game, they break George's leg with the driver. I'm assuming it's broken. He's bleeding.
If it's not broken here, they break it a few scenes
by
later.
Stomping on it. Yeah. So he's hurt. So he's kind of out of commission a little bit.
So the family is moved to the living room of the house, all three of them. And this is the first time they're asked why they're doing this and given bullshit answers. And then game 3, making a bet.
Yeah.
We're going to make a bet that 12 hours from now, all three of you are going to be dead.
Yeah.
Do you
take that bet?
Do you take that bet? You bet that you're going to be still alive, and we bet that all three of you are going to be dead. Funny.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
At this point, we'll get through the plot first. Because
okay. Game 4, cat in a bag. So they put a pillowcase over Georgie's head and coerce Anne to disrobe. They're humiliating her and not shaming her body. They're actually sort of glorifying how well she's taking care of her physique. But the tone is
it's very
malicious.
Condescending. Yeah, it's very condescending, and the scene goes on a very long time.
And then Georgie in this game, Georgie escapes, and he goes upstairs and outside to the neighbor's house, and finds out that the neighbors have been killed.
Yeah. And here's the first
which one
major
goes after
difference.
him? Paul goes after him.
After Georgie.
Peter stays home. Peter stays back and ties up Anne.
Well, he doesn't tie her up yet, because they tie her up. Paul ties her up before he goes after Georgie.
Oh,
he tapes her.
You're right.
Because this is the first actually kind of big difference between the two movies. In the original, they tell Anne to put her clothes back on, and she puts on a slip. Her slip that was under her dress. And in the American version, Naomi Watts is in her bra and panties.
She puts her bra and panties back on.
Yeah, and that's it.
But that's it.
So it was a little bit like, oh, come on. Could you give her a little bit more?
By the way, when she's disrobing, the frame is cut to her face just above the shoulders.
Yeah.
So you see, like, when she pulls the bra strap down, that's the most nudity that
you're not going to see Naomi Watts naked in this movie. You're just going to see her in bra and panties.
It's about, keeping that stuff off screen.
Right.
And asking the audience, is this really over the top?
Are you not entertained?
Yeah.
So Paul tapes her ankles, and then he goes after Georgie.
Okay, so then we go to game 5, hide and seek.
Yeah. Georgie's terrible.
He makes it next door. He hides, and I'm going to put air quotes around hides, and it discovers the neighbors were killed. And then it leads right into game 6, chicken, where Georgie finds a hunting rifle in the house, and Paul closes in on him, basically dares him to fire the weapon, and the poor kid does, but it's not loaded. So now Paul and Georgie return with the hunting rifle. So that leads immediately to Game 7, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Moe, to determine who they're going to kill first with the hunting rifle. And that violence occurs off screen also. Mm-hmm. That's Georgie.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting after they kill Georgie, because you don't see anything. You just see Georgie.
The camera follows Paul going to the kitchen to
get himself a sandwich.
Yeah. But you hear the shot, and you hear the devastation of the parents.
But then Paul comes back and he chides Peter, saying, "You're not supposed to kill the kid first. That's not how this is supposed to go."
Well, not that it was the kid. It was, you're not supposed to kill the person that is landed on for Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Moe. You kill the one to follow.
Which doesn't actually make sense, because it's supposed to be the Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Moe. But either way...
But that was the chiding, though.
Yeah.
He wasn't mad that he killed the boy first. He was mad that you didn't play the game right.
Yeah.
These are the rules. And then they announce their departure.
Yeah, they just, have a nice evening.
Peter and Paul leave.
We're leaving.
So then we have a very long scene of...
This is like close to a 3 or 4 minute scene of just focused on them in the living room.
Anne is trying to get up. Now, mind you, she's taped. Her ankles are taped. Her wrists are taped. So... And her sons have just been killed in front of her.
Yeah.
So we just see George's feet, basically, because the couch is hiding him. Just on the floor. Just not not experiencing anything well. And he's crying. She finally gets up and consoles him. It is one of the longest films in cinema history, if you look it up.
Really?
Yeah. Because
one of the
longest cuts.
Yeah. Because it goes on a very long time.
It goes on a very long time.
She hobbles over and turns off the TV, and then
they try to get the phone to work.
Yeah. She hobbles to the kitchen and cuts herself free.
This goes on. She gets out of the house. There's some weird things about leaving the property. But
which we'll get into in a bit.
She gets dressed. She leaves the house. She flags down a car. George manages to get the phone battery dried out, and he tries to dial 911, but the phone doesn't go through. The call doesn't go through because the phone battery dies, and then a golf ball rolls into the house. So he knows they're back, and they say good morning. So apparently it's like 35 minutes of screen time.
It's close to at least half an hour of screen time of them in the house, her getting dressed, them trying to dry out the phone, her kind of helping George move around because his leg is broken. It takes a very long time. In movie time, it must have been much longer, because when they killed Georgie, he asks what time it is. And Peter says it's almost midnight.
And when they come back, they say good morning.
Yeah.
So that's the only signal we're given as to how much time has passed. Well, we do see some more light coming in through the windows. So sunrise has happened. And then they play Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Moe again. Mm-hmm. And it lands on that it's going to be George. But there's a knife that they see on the table now in the living room. So they decide, well, let's play the loving wife. Mm-hmm. Where now Anne can choose whether she's going to take George's place and be next to be killed or not, and whether the device is going to be the hunting rifle or the knife. Yeah.
So you want him to die quickly with the hunting rifle, or slowly with the knife,
or herself.
Yeah.
She takes an opportunity while they're bickering about something to grab the hunting rifle and she shoots straight ahead, which is Peter. And blows a hole through his chest.
That's the only violence you actually witness in the film.
Yep. And then something weird happens.
Yeah.
Not weird like how the movie's been weird so far. Paul is sort of delighted that she shoots him, right? And then he goes, wait, where's the remote?
Yeah.
I gotta find it. Where's the remote? And he's ripping the cushions off the couch, trying to find this remote control. And he hits rewind on this goddamn remote.
And rewinds the movie.
And rewinds the fucking movie back to where before she shoots Peter. And even back farther through his whole speech. So we have to hear that again. So at this point, we know this isn't
a standard film.
This isn't a standard film.
The fourth wall breaks are very deliberate.
Yeah. So they, it plays out again, obviously, and he knows she's going to take the rifle, so he takes it from her first, and he shoots George with it, and then they put the rain ponchos on.
Yeah, you don't see them shoot George. That's shown. You're just focused on Peter's face at that point. Because the only violence...
Yeah, you see him elbow up.
Yeah, the only violence you witness in this is Anne killing Peter. and then having it reversed.
So, now 3 of them make their way to the dock. And the gentlemen are discussing... basically reality versus
fantasy
versus fiction, which is a metaphor for the movie. And Anne is bound again with packing tape around her wrists and her ankles, and even over her mouth. I think
they did put tape over her mouth at this point.
So they interrupt their discussion to ask what time it is. It's after 8. Their bed is due over at 9 o'clock. He just gives her a nudge, pitches her over the boat.
Yep. And then,
almost just no drama to that at all.
No, he's just like, what time is it? Oh, okay. Well, ciao, Bella. And turns her off.
And then they show up at the neighbor's, Betsy's dock, ask her to borrow some eggs.
And then the last shot of the film is Peter looking directly into the camera and kind of smirking.
Yeah. So that's our rundown.
That's the rundown. And it's basically a rundown of both films, because both films are basically the same script. There's a slight Americanization. She has a flip phone rather than a...
I think that's more due to time.
Due to the time.
Yeah.
But other than that, very, very little is changed.
Very little. It's even the same house.
It's the same house, same props.
Same wardrobe.
Yep. The shots are composed almost exactly the same.
It's the same music.
Yeah. So this really is a director remaking his film in English, and my first question was, why?
Yeah, it has to be.
10 years later, why would you take your film and go, well, I guess I'll just film this again in English?
Now I have Naomi Watts and Tim Roth.
Yeah, which you recognize, but that's the only...
And I get a broader audience because they're recognizable and it's in English.
Yeah.
So is that why?
I guess that's why.
That's my assumption. I don't know. I didn't find any interview answers from him about it.
He doesn't consider this... Yeah, he doesn't consider this a horror film.
It's not. It's a satire.
But to me, it's a bad satire. Because only one character is in on it, and that is Paul. And... frankly, the most unlikable character in the movie is Paul, and I don't care what he thinks about anything. It just, to me, it was like... Well, first off, I get that he's using horror movie tropes as a means of satire, but damn, this family just pissed me off.
Well, but he's subverting the tropes.
But is he?
Yeah, because the violence is off screen.
But that's...
Now, if that movie, if it was using the tropes, we would see all the violence. We'd have jump scares.
I guess I'm... And don't get me wrong, this is a much better movie. I'm likening this a little bit to Scream, which I had problems with too, because it's like, yes, you're aware of all the horror movie tropes, but you're still using all of those tropes. So I don't find that completely witty or anything, because it's like, it's one thing to acknowledge, hey, don't have sex, but then you have sex anyway. Here, it's like...
Well, what are we going to do? Not have sex?
Here, this is a much better movie. Here, it's like... Georgie doesn't run out the front door. He runs upstairs. And you're like, okay.
To get an anger out of the audience.
Yeah.
To get that audience reaction going, why are you going up the stairs?
There's a moment here where Anne goes into the kitchen and gets water and aspirin for George. And they let her go. And she comes out with just aspirin and water for George. And I'm like, there are knives? The golf clubs are still in the foyer. Why are you not picking up a weapon?
It is painful. Plus, when she goes out to play hot and cold, she's outside, and that's where I have my heavy-duty weapons.
Yeah.
Like, I've got axes, I've got sledgehammers out in the garage. I'm picking something up, and I'm fucking swinging.
Yeah, because you know at this point, these guys have killed your dog. You know you're looking for your dead dog. And... they're up to no good. They've broken your husband's leg. Why would you not try something? When they're tying her up and putting tape on her ankles, her feet are literally against Paul's crotch. And I'm like, why are you not just kicking?
She could knee his head. She could kick him in the crotch like Carol said.
At this point, they don't have a gun. All they have is the freaking...
The golf driver.
And it's like, that's what
and they're not even paying that close of attention to it.
No, they're just playing around and dicking around, and it's like...
But once you get to the rewind scene, you realize, well, it doesn't matter if she would have fought back.
Yeah,
they would have just rewound it anyway. And maybe, played it to their...
I don't know.
Advantage.
It just rubbed me the wrong way, because it's like, I get what you're trying to do, but... I don't like anybody in this film.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree.
And
I do like Georgie because he's the only one that really tries to fight against these guys.
But man, worst hide and seek player ever. I'm gonna hide in the middle of a room.
she ain't lying on that one.
There are closets. First off, why are you going to the neighbor's house? Once you saw they're dead, get the hell out of the house. Run farther away.
Well, that one I do understand because he knew that Paul was in the house because he was saying something like Marco Polo or something.
Yeah, he was doing the Marco Polo thing, and at that point I'm just like, kid, just find yourself a hole and hide.
Open, get in a closet, get under the bed.
Yeah, you're not
even
doing
if
your
it's
parents,
one of the tropes.
You're not doing your parents any favors trying to shoot him or whatever. It was just. It was like, oh, come on, you are a smarter child than this.
Yeah.
But it just, and the whole, when the neighbors come over and dock their boat, and Anne does nothing to let them know that there is a problem. I mean, you could say, yeah, George is not feeling well. Do you have any ibuprofen? Because I didn't bring mine. Can you bring some over?
Anything.
And yes, Paul's standing right there, but anything. And there's nothing. They do nothing to...
Hey, we forgot to pack our blah, blah, blah. Can you bring it in 1 hour?
Yeah.
In 30 minutes.
In 30 minutes. And what are they going to... And if he just kills them in 30 minutes, then at least you know exactly what they're up to or whatever.
Especially at the point where he just interrupts their chatter and asks which dock is hers.
Yeah. It's that house. At that point, you know he's going from your house to their house, and you got to say something.
That's the only reason he would have asked.
Yeah. And you get a touch of that at the beginning with the neighbor who also brings Paul over and doesn't say anything. And you're just like, oh, come on.
Yeah. And he's stiff in posture. As you're watching it, you could gauge something's wrong here.
But these kids are not, like, built in either movie.
They look like your typical Ivy League
frat boys.
Spoiled brats.
Yeah.
With $300 haircuts and Ralph Lauren polos.
Yeah.
It's just...
And I'm just like... you could probably take them if you tried. And they don't try. And I completely understand that that's the point.
Yeah. Paul is so cocky that he's not all that watchful. And Peter is just there to be told what to do.
Yeah.
So he's lying in wait to be told what to do.
Yeah.
Neither of them are just... Like, could you imagine if they were military boys or something?
Yeah.
They would have
come with weapons.
They would have come with weapons. They would have had their elbow propped on the rifle the entire time. I mean,
it wouldn't just be sitting on the table.
Scene. Yeah.
So I completely understand that's the point that Haneke was trying to make. That he's subverting the horror genre by, one, not showing us all of the violence. It all happens off screen, and
therefore, is it even violent?
Right. Am I taking away from your entertainment by not showing you that Georgie was shot in the back?
And I'm going to prove to you that you actually want the antagonist to return because nothing happens when they're gone.
Right.
Nothing.
And to me, that was one of the most frustrating scenes in the movie because it's like, oh, come on. And I don't know if maybe it's a European thing, but they are locked in their house. And I didn't understand what the heck happened. I'm like, why can't they leave out the front door? She's crawling through a window. I'm like, why can't they leave out the front door? And she says they took the keys. And I'm like, do locks in Europe actually lock you into your house?
Yeah, I couldn't... We were trying to understand that. If you know what the deal was, let us know.
Yeah, because let
us know by comment or something.
I was confused. And...
I get that they took the car keys, so maybe there's no reason to go out the front door.
But at the same time, it's like, why?
But she's using chicken cutter or wire cutters
to cut her fence.
To cut her own fence.
And I'm like, okay, first off, you have a boat. Just go take your boat to the next dock. That's on your property. That's the easiest way to get off your property, is to just hop into your boat and travel to the next dock. If they've locked the gate and you can't get out, why are you...
I think there's some fear also as to, well, where did they go? Are they waiting for us to leave the house? You know what I mean?
And at that point, you gotta arm yourself and just hope for the best.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
And it's like, if they took the car, which I'm assuming they did, because she doesn't get into her car and drive away. She runs down the road. Like any horror movie villain.
The car that she flags down is a white van. It's not their car.
But, yeah, so where did they get that?
It's not the family car.
It's not the family car, so where's their car? Did they only have one set of keys for the damn car? It's bad enough in this 2007 movie, they only have one cell phone.
Well, this is their vacation home, so I could see not having a spare set there.
I would think but they drove their car there. So, I know when I was married, each of us had a key to the car.
At your own home, but at your vacation
home? It was always in my purse.
In your purse?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well...
To me it was... And I get it. I get that's what he was going for. This aggravation is what he was hoping for.
Yeah, we're playing...
You got us. Funny game.
You got us, Hanukkah.
But to me, it was just... These aren't films that you enjoy on the best of times anyway, because they're just...
True facts.
They're dwelling on people's misery. He focuses so closely on Anne's face when she's disrobing, and it's just... as a woman, it's just, like, horrifying.
Yeah.
And
her husband asks her to forgive him because he's being told to tell her to disrobe.
And, you know, the whole scene after they shoot Georgie, where you're just, for a good 2 or 3 minutes, it's just them dealing with grief. This is really just watching people suffer.
Yeah.
And I mean it, if you find that entertaining, I probably don't want to be alone in a room with you. This isn't Friday the 13th where it's like, haha, Jason killed somebody in a sleeping bag.
It's not a fun.
It's not a fun horror movie
to this at all. And I love cinematography. The cinematography in in these movies is the highlight.
Yeah, and which is odd because it's two different cinematographers, which tells me that Haneke, and I'm probably mispronouncing his name.
It's Haneke, yeah.
It's Haneke. He had total control. Because he wrote it, produced it, and directed both versions. But
I wonder if he cast it, because Michael Pitt does an amazing... Well, what do you think?
I prefer the acting... This is a toss-up. Because when it comes to the two villains, I prefer the remake.
Okay.
When it comes to the family, I kind of prefer the original. I felt they had more of a connection, and that's probably because the two leads actually got married after filming Funny Games. So there was...
Can you imagine going through that? Of course you'd get married. We can get through that. We can get it through it.
Yeah, we can get through anything. So there was kind of a better connection between at least the husband and wife. And I think it's kind of like that Gloria Bell thing where I don't recognize the actress, so I'm not looking at it as a Hollywood casting. Whereas for the remake here, it's Naomi Watts, for Pete's sake.
And Tim Roth.
Not many people would recognize Michael Pitt that don't watch Boardwalk Empire or...
at the time he was just in indie movies.
Yeah, Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Did some modeling. I knew him from Hedwig only at the time that I saw it.
Yeah, so the two leads are the draw.
To me, he was a superior.
Yeah,
Paul.
He's definitely a superior Paul.
And I don't know, the Peter character in both are just...
They're just... And they keep... In both versions, Paul keeps calling Peter Tubby.
He fat shames him the whole
time. One of the reasons why he makes Anne take her clothes off is because he's like, she doesn't have any jelly rolls like you do.
Yeah,
I bet she would. Yeah, she wouldn't sleep with you because you're fat, and neither one of these actors is fat. The original is a maybe 10 to 15 pounds chunky.
That's another satire.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to be fat. It's not about his actual weight. It's about the mind control.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't think I will ever watch these films again because I was just so aggravated. Particularly with and I get aggravated. It is
very aggravating, especially again as a woman. Guys, I don't know if you're put in situations where you have to mentally assess how much danger you're potentially in.
Yeah,
but as a woman, I have, and
all the time.
And while you're watching this, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself in the family's shoes and going, okay, at this point, the dog has died. I know I'm in real fucking danger here.
I'm grabbing whatever piece of wood. Hey, there's all that firewood out there. There's got to be an axe.
Yeah.
There's got to be something in your gardening shed.
The level of discomfort is
why
great.
are you opening the door to this complete stranger asking for eggs? Just say, yeah, sure, wait here a moment. That's, and it just, there are moments where I'm just like, why are you not doing anything to help yourself? And I know you get that with just about every horror movie, but
this takes it to 100.
Yeah, and I was just screaming at the screen.
Yeah, and that's why when she does do something, you're like, yes. Oh wait,
finally!
Wait, what the fuck is this?
Oh my god, are you kidding me? You just run. And
it's impactful. It is impactful.
Yes. Brilliant use of music. You are not, if you're watching the film for the first time, you're not expecting that Naked City cut right at the beginning.
No, but you kind of know they're listening to classical music, like something weird's going to happen here. And you think maybe a deer's going to run in the road or something.
And no, it's just heavy metal jazz. And they just sit there like they're listening to it.
Yeah.
It's just...
With glee on their face.
Yeah. So... I'm curious to watch other films by this director because I recognize the direction was very was pretty spot on. It was astounding pretty much. But this...
It is a well-made film.
Right. Well acted in both instances. I just don't think I would ever watch it again. It kind of reminds me of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Uh-huh.
Where I watched it and I was like, damn, that was well made and well acted, and I never ever want to watch it again.
And these are really well made.
Yeah.
Like, these are pressed and packaged and ready for consumption. But
yeah, you're not going to like anybody.
All right.
Except maybe Georgie.
So let's...
I'm going to make you go first, and I know which one you're going to choose because it's got Michael Pitt in it.
Yep. I choose the remake because it has Michael... well, not because it has Michael Pitt in it, but because he acted that role, to me, better than the original.
The original one was just... He just looked like he was a douche.
Well, so does Michael Pitt, though.
He does, but...
it's not like I liked his character more.
No,
I want to be clear on that.
Yeah.
It's that I enjoyed the acting portrayal more.
The thing is, none of these guys are horrible looking, but they still all have an air of people I would not open my door for. So, immediately, you get the, I'm not opening my door for you.
Oh, by the way, funny anecdote. While we were watching the original and I explained to Carol, I would never answer the door to a doorbell to somebody I don't know. Somebody rings the doorbell. Yay, Facebook Marketplace sale.
Yes. But you didn't let him in the house.
I did not let him in the house. He didn't ask to borrow eggs.
Yeah, so if anyone knocks on your door and asks to borrow eggs, particularly at 8 o'clock in the fucking morning, I don't know what the lady was doing at the very end. We're like, it's 8 o'clock in the morning and you're going to let this complete stranger in your house. What are you doing, woman? You're in your bathrobe. And said she's out of eggs. Well, yeah, because you dropped them all on the floor. So I'm going to go with the remake.
Oh, I'm surprised.
But it is a hair's breadth.
Yeah.
It's a hair's breadth.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's too similar to really have a clear winner.
Yeah. Mostly because you don't have to read it, I guess. It makes it a little bit easier to watch. Because I could kind of just look away for a while and not miss anything.
That's so important for your mental health.
Yeah.
Be good to yourselves, Popperkins out there.
This is like one of the most stressful, least violent films that they don't show you the violence, but it's stressful in that you're just looking at this family going, what the hell? I get you're privileged because you're kind of wealthy, you have a vacation home and a boat, right. But come on, guys. Well,
and think of what your triggers are when you're watching a horror movie, right? You're like, as soon as you see a family dog, you think in your head, if they kill that dog, I am done with this movie. And for me, as a mother, if they kill this child, like, I don't even think about it because it's so... You just don't do it.
Yeah, all bets are off. Yeah, all bets are off.
This one, they do both. They kill the dog and the kid first.
Yeah, and it's like the second they made the bet, because you can say, well, up until that point, yeah, they've broken George's leg, but they haven't shown that they're going to kill everybody. To me, I'm immediately thinking, yeah, but what about your neighbor that introduced this guy? You know that he's not a relative or whatever, so you gotta think your neighbor's dead at that point. But the second they made the bet, I think in 12 hours you guys are all gonna be dead. I'm throwing punches. I'm throwing whatever I can get my hands on.
Don't go to Carol's house, knocking on her door, ringing her doorbell, asking for eggs. Don't do it, guys.
Don't. I may die, but I will do my damnedest to take one of you with me.
Right.
So, and nobody here does that. It's like, God damn it, come on, do something.
All right, let's roll for the next movie.
The next movie.
I hope the comments, though, I'd really be interested to... I hope this podcast gets some comments.
I will be curious to see what other people think of these movies.
Yeah, me too. Really likes it.
I don't know why anyone would really like this.
Let us know. Let us know if you really like it.
Okay, randomizer number 3. Didn't we get number 1?
We got number 1. The Funny Games was number 1. So number 3
is The Thing from Another World and The Thing.
Oh, we're going into spooky
we're going to spooky season. So yeah, we'll do The Thing. We may even throw in The Thing, the other thing, just to. It's not a remake, but I may want to discuss it a little bit. So The Thing from Another World and The Thing. Okay, this one's probably going to be easy for me, but that's okay. I haven't seen the original in a very long time.
And we need to just wash our hands with this movie.
Oh, thank God, we can watch some creature just eat people for once. Not some golf club wielding maniacs. Oh, but the dogs. Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, this is us signing out. We will see you next month for The Thing.
Have fun.